الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وخليله صلى الله عليه وسلم ثم أما بعد. لا بأس جزاك الله خير. طيب inshallah ta'ala, we're actually going to continue. First and foremost, I apologize for being a little bit late. But we're going to continue with the 40 hadith of Imam Nawawi, rahimahullah. We actually reached the 30th hadith. Hadith number 30. For those who have a smartphone, please go to your smartphones. Hadith number 30, inshallah ta'ala. And while you actually are going and searching for the hadith, I would like to mention something. Alright? I want to ask a question, inshallah, just to get the brains going. Alright? You have a hadith that says, and who knows it, who can finish the hadith for me, that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves someone, He calls on who? Huh? Angel. He calls on Jibreel alayhi salam. And He tells Jibreel alayhi salam that I love him, so you love him. And then Jibreel, he tells Ahlus Sama, Allah loves so-and-so, and I love so-and-so, so what? Love them. And then Allah places acceptance for that person in the earth. Okay? Love and acceptance for that person in the earth. So don't forget this hadith. You have another hadith that states that there will be some prophets on the day of judgment. And we know that there is no one more beloved to Allah as a jinn than the prophets from mankind. Some prophets, they will come with crowds of people behind them. Some will come with just one or two people, and some will come with nobody behind them. The question is, where is this person's love and acceptance? Or is it a contradiction?
You say, where is this person? Which person are you talking about?
The prophet who came on the day of resurrection with no people behind him. Allah mentions in the first hadith that I just mentioned, Allah will put what? Love and acceptance for that particular person in the earth. So how is it that this person, a prophet, someone who is loved by Allah, how can this person come on the day of resurrection with nobody? Where's that person's, where's that prophet's love and acceptance? Anybody else? Is the question clear? The question's not clear. The first hadith, alright, so again, the first hadith states that what? When Allah loves someone, the reason why I mention this hadith actually because I had a friend that called me and he said his professor mentioned it in college, trying to prove or debase Islam or something like that, whatever. But what happens here is that this hadith states that what? That when Allah loves an individual, He calls on Jibreel. Alright? He tells Jibreel alayhi salam, I love so-and-so. What's your name? Abdurrahman. So I'm going to use Abdurrahman example. Inshallah, Allah loves Abdurrahman. Inshallah, fi'la. Inshallah. So Allah calls on Jibreel and He says, Jibreel, I love Abdurrahman. So love him. So Jibreel says, I love him. And He calls on Ahlus Sama, the people of the heavens. He says that Allah loves Abdurrahman. I love Abdurrahman. So you all love Abdurrahman. And they love him. And then Allah will put love and acceptance in the earth for Abdurrahman. Like I love Abdurrahman now. So mashallah, he's a good brother. We know good about him. And things like that. We have a general love and acceptance for Abdurrahman. My question is, obviously, the prophets are more beloved to Allah, no offense, than Abdurrahman. Correct? So now the question is, how can a prophet on a day of resurrection come with no followers behind him? Where is that prophet's acceptance? Is the question clear now? Okay. What you got?
Because those are the people that were destroyed.
Those are the people that were destroyed?
Yeah.
Habib?
I'm saying, I was going to say his love was with the law, but you said love is on the earth.
Right, the hadith says that Allah is going to put love and acceptance for him in the earth.
As I said, we love.
Yeah, well, I mean, he can put it in the
we
earth.
We accept this prophet. He can say his followers going to love and accept him.
Maybe
he
the
said
love
he
is
would
what,
put love
yeah.
and acceptance
non-humans.
from the people.
They didn't say people, it said in the earth. A tree, a stone, grass.
Alhamdulillah. The reason why we actually mention this as well is that Habib is correct. But the first hadith got it right. All right. So basically, the reason why we mentioned this hadith is that, yes, Habib is correct, that this love and acceptance came from the people who came after, meaning us today. Because we have to believe in all of the prophets. The reason why we mention this hadith is that sometimes you may want to do something, right? You may want to start a class and no one shows up. Or you may want to do something in the masjid and no one supports you. All right, and you're like, man, wow, where's everybody? This prophet, was he upon the truth, yes or no?
Yes.
Of course. And he didn't see the thamarats, the fruit of what he did in his lifetime. But we benefited from it because what? We're Muslim today. So the reason why we want to mention this is that because sometimes, inshallah ta'ala, if you are sincere about something and you want to do something, it may be teach a class, it may be teaching the sisters, I don't know, how to wrap hijab, it may be teaching their brothers, whatever. And no one is supporting you, no one is backing you up. But if you are sincere, inshallah ta'ala, you may not get it now, but what? You eventually will get it. You have to question yourself, how is it that scholars in Islam who lived hundreds and thousands of years ago, we still study their books today? But when they wrote those books, they didn't write it with the intention, this is going to be a book for the ummah. They wrote it what? For themselves. And sometimes one of the benefits of this for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep the sincerity of a person, if he loves them, is that sometimes he will not show that person the fruits of what they're doing while they are currently doing it. And this will keep the person from doing what? Becoming what?
Big-headed.
Big-headed and arrogant. Because what? He's going to what? Destroy his own blessing. So Allah prevents the person from what? Seeing the fruits of that, so the person can remain what? Humble and sincere. And maybe when he leaves the community, or maybe when he or she passes away, then the people what? They benefit from it. So this is one of the things that we just want to mention from sincerity, that if the brothers and sisters here are doing something, inshallah ta'ala, especially if it's good, if you are teaching a class and you only have one student, or nobody comes up, still do what? Still do what you need to do. Because you're doing it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah is just going to do what? It's going to reward you. It may be right now while you can actually see it, but also maybe when you can't see it. This is also why in the Hadith Qudsi, and we're going to get to 30 Hadith, but this is also why in the Hadith Qudsi, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he mentions that there are some people from my servants that I allow them to remain in poverty. Because if I enriched them and I gave them wealth, they wouldn't worship me anymore. And there's some people from my servants that I allow them to remain rich. Because if I tested them with poverty, they would do what? They wouldn't worship him no more. And there's some people from my servants that he allows them to remain sick. Because if he gave them health, they would do what? They wouldn't worship him anymore. So the point being here is that sometimes don't just look at the situation, become angry, and just like, halas, I'm not going to do it anymore. No, one, you're doing it for who? For Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And either you will see that reward now, or you will see it what? Later on. You may not physically see it, but your children may see it. But eventually you will also see it on what? On what day? Yawm al-Qiyamah, when it really counts. Tayyib, inshallah. So after all of that, who has 30 hadith? Hadith number 30. Yeah, good.
Jadun bin Nashir, may Allah be pleased with him, that the message of Allah said, verily Allah, the Almighty, has laid down religious obligations for our Eid, so do not neglect them. He has set boundaries, so do not overstep them. He has prohibited some things, so do not violate them. About some things he was silent out of compassion for you, not forgetfulness. So seek not after them.
This hadith is it contains in it with a lot of principles in our deen. The first thing that says, "Inna Allah farada farad," that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made certain things in our religion as an obligation. All right, so do not do what, as the brother just mentioned, do not neglect them. When we talk about neglecting the obligations that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set in our deen, neglecting an obligation goes into two categories. We're talking about neglecting an obligation that Allah has made in the deen. The first form of neglect is that what? A person does not what? A person don't do it at all. But he or she does not do it. Allah has, Abdurrahman, Jazakallah khair, Allah loves you. Huh? Give me something that Allah has made obligatory in our religion. Prayer. Alright? So a person is neglectful of the prayer by what? Not making salah. Okay, well he or she is subjecting himself to the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second form of neglect in our deen, when we talk about being neglectful of the obligations of Allah, is that a person is lazy when it comes to doing those particular things. Alright? He or she becomes lazy when it comes to doing that particular thing. Also, you will also find some of the things that Allah has made an obligation is an ibadah and also in ma'amala, the interactions with people, how you treat people. Alright? The interaction between a man and his wife, interaction between a father and his children, and so on and so forth. The reason why this is important because sometimes we talk about being neglectful or being lazy in doing certain rights. People have a tendency, when it's their right, they want everything, right? But when it comes to giving it, they do what? They withhold. All right? For an example, my brother, he tells his wife, my rights, my rights, my rights, this, that, and the third. Okay? And she gives him. But when it's time for him to what? Maintenance and so on and so forth, people are like, you don't really need that, sis. You straight. All right? So he gives what? He half steps. All right? Likewise. Now, your brother looking at me like, amen. All right? So now I want you to look at Surah Mutaffifin, chapter 83. Who has the Quran? 83. And even this is not something that is new. This is something that the people did in the past as well. And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually revealed this particular verse. You have a hadith? 83, starting from the beginning.
Okay.
Good.
Woe to the defrauders. In the name of Allah, it says, woe to the defrauders who when they take the measure from men, they take it fully. But when they measure out to others or weigh out for them, they are deficient.
All right, stop. This, like I said before, this is not something that's new that actually happened. This was done during the time of the Prophet. When they demanded their rights. It could be a woman, she's demanding her rights from her husband, and so on and so forth. Or the children demanding their rights from their parents. Just people, generally speaking, just being a human being, people have a tendency sometimes, when it's them, they want everything and more. But when it's time to give back, they do what? They withhold. One of the reasons why this is wrong is we give the bare minimum. Sometimes as well, we give the bare minimum to who? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And a lot of people, we don't really look at that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed everyone in this room generally just by looking at everybody, generally with their health. But we don't fast. And I'm not talking about Ramadan, I'm talking about outside of Ramadan. Or after the salat, people have a tendency, they just get up and they just leave. It only takes another 2 minutes to pray what? Sunnahs. After that 2 minute passes, you're not even gonna forget. You're gonna forget about the hardship anyway. But that deed is gonna remain forever with who? With Allah. And I tell everyone all the time, the statement of Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah. With Ibn Qayyim, he said, "Do not give up a good deed because you think it's hard, because the good deed is eventually gonna do what? Excuse me, the hardship is eventually gonna do what? It's gonna pass, but that deed is gonna remain forever. And don't do a bad deed because you love the pleasure that you get from it. Because the pleasure is eventually going to do what? But that bad deed is going to remain what? Forever with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you don't want to forget that. Alright? And this is why, as mentioned before, people have a tendency to do this. When we give Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the bare minimum, ask yourself, what if Allah took the same attitude with you? That all you need is water and air. That's it. You don't need shelter. You don't need clothes. You don't need Jordans. You don't need none of that. You're going to be all right with bread and water. Everybody's like, oh, nah. And then notice that Allah is not from the sifat of Allah, it's not from the descriptions of Allah, that He oppresses people. He doesn't oppress you. But what if He took that same attitude with you? You would feel like, nah, what? I can't, But then it's kind of funny that Allah has given you health. He's blessed you with a spouse. He's blessed you with money. He has blessed you with a place to live, a place to sleep at night. A lot of people don't have that. And we quote another hadith where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Man asbaha minkum aminan fi sirbihi, ma'afan fi jasadihi, wa indahu qut yawmihi, fa ka'annama hizat lahu ad-dunya." The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, whoever woke up safe. How many people have traveled to another country in this room? All right, and you've seen other countries how they live. Poverty. Some people have been to Mecca. And you see certain, I don't know if you've been to certain neighborhoods in Mecca, but it's like horrible. All right? In different parts of Africa, and so on and so forth. We have brothers and sisters in certain countries, they can't sleep at night, but when they go to sleep, they're not going to wake up because they live in war-torn countries. We don't have that here in America. So at the very least, whoever woke up safe and they have their health. People in this room, if you want to right now, you can get up, you can go to the bathroom. Some people can't do that. All right? You have your health, you have enough food to survive for that one day, as if you have the whole world and everything in it. If that is the case, how can a person now take the same attitude with Allah and say, I'm just going to give him the bare minimum? I'm not going to pray the Sunnah prayers. I'm not going to fast Monday or Thursdays. I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do this. But then when they want their rights from Allah, they want what? They want everything. Oh Allah, a sister says, oh Allah, bless me with a handsome brother who has this, that, and the third. Her brother says the same thing. Oh Allah, I want this particular sister. She got to have a master's degree. She graduated from Duke, and so on and so forth. All right? He wants everything from Allah. But when, on the flip side, he wants, nah, I'm just going to pray 5 times a day. I'm not going to get up for tahajjud. I'm not going to fast. I'm not going to do this. All right? And it's a shame, and myself included. All right? So we just want to be mindful of that, inshallah ta'ala. That's in regards to the first part of the hadith where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is mentioned. And Allah farada fara'id. All right? Allah has made certain things in your religion as an obligation, so do not be neglectful. We said that being neglectful of these particular things, in one category, it means what? A person does not do what? They don't do it altogether. And the other side is what? A person does it, but he does it haphazardly, right? They do it halfway. Another thing that the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned after that, oh, you put the hadith up? Who still has the hadith?
I got it.
After that, what the Prophet ﷺ said, do not be neglectful of them. What did he say?
He says, he had set boundaries, he said, do not overstep.
All right. And this part is pretty deep because we're going to spend some time on it, inshallah ta'ala. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, وَحَدَّ حُدُودًا فَلَا تَعْتَدُوهَا. The Prophet ﷺ, he says, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set limits, so do not surpass those limits. People have a tendency to do something when it comes to the deen. One of the things that we, and I'm not going to say people, I'll include myself, one of the things we have a tendency to do is that we love the deen and we love the sunnah until it goes against something that what? Something that you like, something that we like, and something that we want. Then no, it has to be what? Got to be another meaning to that. All right? So we try to tailor the deen to fit what? Your desires. And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned. Have you not seen the one who prefers his desires as his Lord other than me? Alright? So we want to be mindful of that. So the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, وَحَدَّدَ حُدُودًا فَلَا تَعْتَدُوهَا. He has set limits in this deen, so therefore do not transgress. Alright. One of the things, mention something that people have a tendency to transgress in. Anybody? What are some of the things that people in general has a tendency to transgress in?
Being patient with each other.
Huh? Being patient with each other? Okay. Lying. One more. Oh, everybody's perfect.
Cheating.
Huh? Cheating. Okay, cheating. Cheating in general. Like, now also, one of the things that people have a tendency to do, they surpass the limit when it comes to dealing with each other, especially between spouses. When it comes to marriage and divorce, especially if a particular person wants to divorce a sister or a sister wants to receive a khula, and we actually one day will have the rulings and the ahkam dealing pertaining to divorce and marriage and divorce, and one class will do that, inshallah. But what happens is when it comes to these particular options, these particular things, people don't want to do what? We don't want to follow deen. We're going to put that to the side. I'm going to do what? What I want to do. For example, a brother divorces a particular sister. He has to provide maintenance for what? For 3 menstrual cycles, not necessarily months. And the reason why we say not necessarily months, because not every sister has a menstrual cycle every month. Which means if she has it every 2 months, then you got to do what? You got to take care of for what? 6 months. But then everybody, oh, hold up. Nah, we ain't following that one. I'm going to do what? What I want to do. And this is why the Prophet ﷺ, he said, حَدَّ الْحُدُودًا فَلَا تَعْتَدُوهَا. Allah has made limits in His deen, so don't do what? Don't transgress. And again, people have a tendency when it comes to particular things that they want to do. We transgress, we put the deen to our side, we throw it in our back pocket, and we'll pull it out for me when it's in my favor. But when it's not in my favor, I'm going to what? I'm going to put it in my pocket, and we ain't going to talk about this one. All right? So one of the things as well that, since we're out there, I mentioned the topic of marriage. I want every brother to actually look at a particular verse, including myself. It's the verse in Surah An-Nisa where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentions الرِّجَالٌ قَوَّامُونَ النِّسَاء, that the men are the maintainers and the providers of what? Of the women. What is that, 34? All right, so who has it? I want somebody to read it. Adly. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Men are the protectors and maintainers.
Yeah, read loud.
Men are the protectors and maintainers of women, because Allah has given the one more strength than the other, because they support them from their means. Therefore, the righteous.
All right, stop. Before you continue, I have a question. I wish I had some candy so I could give away some candy. But I have a question. Huh? In this verse, Ibn Kathir, and wherever I please pay close attention to this. Ibn Kathir, rahimahullah, he says this verse, Allah Azza wa Jal is threatening, it's a direct threat to every man that is married and every man that wants to get married. My question to you is, where is that threat? Where is the threat from Allah to every man? Alright? Again, Ibn Kathir rahimahullah, he says within this verse 434, Allah is threatening every married man and every man who wishes to get married. Where is that in the verse? Read it from the beginning.
Men are the protectors and maintainers of women, because Allah has given the one more strength than the other, and because they support them from their means. Therefore, the righteous women are devoutly obedient and guard in the husband's absence what Allah would have them guard. As to those women on whose part you fear disloyalty and ill conduct, admonish them first. Next, refuse to share their beds. Last, beat them lightly. But if they return to obedience, seek not against them means of annoyance, for Allah is most high, great above you.
Read the last part again. Seek not what?
Seek not against the means of annoyance, for Allah is most high, great above you all.
Right. Where is the threat? Okay, break that down for me. What do you mean by the last part?
Allah is telling man He created them a degree above women because of their strength.
Mm-hmm.
And in the context that Allah has greater strength than everything. So if you don't obey it, you still have a higher authority that you have to answer to.
Here, notice that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He starts off by saying that the men are the maintainer are the providers for the women because of such and such and such and such. Right? And the women are to guard themselves in the presence of their husbands, and also what when he's not there. All right. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, but if she does such and such and such and such, the first step is what? Admonish her, right? To basically listen, sis, stop tripping, right? So on and so forth. All right. Then the second step is what? Refuse to the bed. The third step, and so on and so forth. Now, we actually going to have a class about this because it does not necessarily mean necessarily what? Baseball bats and all that stuff, kicking people down the steps and all that stuff. We're going to actually have an actual class. What does that mean? Allah says, وَضْرِبُهُنَّ. All right? After that, Allah says what? But if she what? Returns back to obedience. If she returns back to obedience, Allah mentions فَلَا تَبْغُوا عَلَيْهِنَّ سَبِيلًا. Alright? Then Allah Azza wa Jalla, He reminds, don't basically what be a means of annoyance. What happens is also, as human beings, we have a tendency to do, we don't let stuff go. Alright? Men included. Sister does something, he says, okay, I forgave you, so on and so forth. 5 years later down the road, you did such and such and such and such. Vice versa, the women do the same thing to their husbands. This is la yajuz. It is not permissible. La yanbaghi, it's not befitting. Haram, don't do it. That if you pardon someone, that you constantly remind them of what they did. As if you did not what? Forgive them to begin with. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He negates that. But the threat comes in at the end of the verse, إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ عَلِيًّا كَبِيرًا. As the sister mentioned, Allah reminds men that, listen, you are the maintainers and the providers. I put you a degree level over her. Right? Doesn't mean that you're better spiritually, but He puts you a degree level over that you're supposed to provide for this particular sister. And if she disobeys you, I have put certain parameters in place that you're supposed to take. But if she comes back to obedience, and now you are the one to transgress, I'm her wali, you're going to have to deal with me. This is the threat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the end of the verse. إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ عَلِيًّا كَبِيرًا. That indeed He is the Most High. Yes, I put you in charge, but once you get bid'ah and you think that you control everything, I'm going to humble you. This is the threat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to every married man. And this is why He said, وَحَدِّدْ حُدُودًا فَلَا تَعْتَدُوهَا. That Allah has set certain limits in our deen. So what? Don't do what? Don't transgress. This is in regards to, like I said, as far as mu'amala, interactions between the people. Put your feelings to the side and we're going to follow the deen to our best of our ability. That also comes with the issue of marriage. It comes to the issue of divorce. A person, how he divorces his wife. There's a certain Islamic etiquette of how he or she should ask for a khula, or how he should actually divorce his wife, and so on and so forth. Because in this particular issue, a lot of times people oppress one another. They start lying, they start doing this, so on and so forth. Alright? Sister is pregnant, he doesn't want to take care of her anymore. Listen, 3 months pass. Where you get that from? And so on and so forth. So therefore, the Prophet ﷺ has mentioned that Allah has set certain limits in His deen. It is not permissible for you to do what? To transgress against that. Is that clear? Is there any questions about what we mentioned so far? Sorry? And after that, the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned, can you read it? What did the Prophet ﷺ mention after that? Yeah. Alright, he said, وَحَرَّمَ أَشَاءَ. And Allah has made certain things haram in our religion, so do not indulge in them. Alright? Do not indulge in them. Here, one of the things that we want to highlight is that not indulging in them is obviously one, not doing the particular sin. Also, it also means not making an excuse why you can do what? Why you can commit the sin. An example. And it may sound funny, but I've heard this from the youth, I've heard it from a lot of people. Someone says, smoking weed is not haram. An example. It says, it's not haram, Allah created this is from the earth, it's from me, it's from you, so on and so forth. They come with all these different reasons why what? They try to rationalize and say, well, it's halal. It's not even makruh, it's halal, brother. It ain't even this life. You can smoke weed. So now, here, وَحَرَّمَ أَشْيَاءَ, Allah has made certain things haram, so don't indulge in them. One of the meanings is that what? Don't do it at all, and don't make excuses to why you can't do a particular thing that's haram. It is better for a person to say, and I just want to say this in general. Why? Because naturally, as human beings, including myself, we have a tendency, for the soul has a tendency to what? Lean towards what? Let's be honest. Evil and haram. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, as for the one who خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ وَنَهَى نَفْسًا عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ, who fears his standing before his Lord and he restrains himself or herself from doing what? Evil sins. فَإِنَّ جَنَّتِ what? فَإِنَّ جَنَّةَ هِيَ مَأْوَىٰ. Jannah is their what? Their abode. The reason why we say that is because notice that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He didn't say, and as for the one who does not desire haram. Allah says, one, as for the one who what? Fears his standing before his Lord and he restrains him or herself from doing that which is haram. Meaning that the soul naturally what is going to lean towards doing certain things that you know you're not supposed to be doing. But the person at that point has to do what? Restrain themselves. And if they do that, out of the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will do what? He'll make it easy for them. And if they end up doing it, at the very least, Allah Ghafur Rahim inshallah ta'ala, Allah is forgiving, most merciful. He's going to do what? Forgive them and grant them what? Jannah. So here when the Prophet said, وَحَرَّمَ أَشْيَاءَ, He has made certain things haram, so do not what? Do not do them. We said that one, it means do not do it at all, and do not do what? Do not make excuses for what? To do them. This is also why I want everyone to go to Surah An-Nahl 1:16. 1:16. Whoever gets it, let them read it. This is also why the scholars of the past, they used to be very afraid when they would say, and this is important for everyone to know this, they should be very afraid when they were asked a particular question, is such and such haram? They would say makruh, lakin yuridu bihi haram. They would say it's disliked, but they meant that it's what? Haram. Because of this particular verse that we're going to read. Habib, you got it? Okay.
And for what your tongue describes, do not utter the lie, saying this is lawful and this is unlawful.
All right, stop. Allah says, do not basically follow your tongue in making lies against Allah, saying that what? This is lawful and this is what? And non-lawful. Go ahead.
In order to forge a lie against Allah, surely those who forge the lie against Allah shall not prosper.
All right, the next verse.
A little enjoyment and they shall have a painful punishment.
SubhanAllah. You find some people when they want to do something that they know is haram. They know it. But they start bringing up all these different things. My Sheikh said. So on and so forth. Sheikh Google it. This, that, and the third. They bring up all these different things why they can do what? That's what they want to do. Knowing that is what? Haram. Not only that, they may find a fatwa that might be in their favor. There's no proof. There's no Allah said. There's no messenger said. It's just what they Sheikh said. It's just an opinion. So they say what? Alhamdulillah. People have a tendency, they do what? They fatwa shop. Like you window shop, they fatwa shop. Alright? So they find a fatwa that's in their favor, and they say what? Alhamdulillah. I can do such and such. Alright? I don't have to buy my wife that car because the Sheikh said it. And so on and so forth. So now what happens here is that a person, they come with this false principle. But Allah said something about, oh, you close it? Allah said something in 1:17. When they invent these lies against Allah and they try to change the deen, that which is haram is halal now to them. And that which is halal is haram to them, so on and so forth. Allah says something about them in 1:17. They get what they want. They have that little bit of enjoyment. But in the end, what? They have a painful torment. Meaning what? Jahannam. So you can fool the people. And this is why it's important for the people to attend the classes, all the and much classes that they can, to learn the religion of Allah. So that you won't be tricked by the people. If a brother has a big beard, he speaks Arabic, so on and so forth. Blind following. You're not following what? The deen, what Allah and His Messenger says. And again, I tell everybody this all the time. When the angels come and they question you in the grave, how many questions in the grave? Abdurrahman, how many questions in the grave? Three. What's the first question? Who's your Lord? What's the second question? What's the third question? Huh? What is your deen? Jazakallah khair. when these angels ask you this question, if a person does not know, and he says, ha la adri, sami'tu an-nas yaqulun shay'an faqultu, I don't know. I heard people say something, so I said it. The angels will beat this person. One of the reasons why they will beat this person, because, as we know, it is not permissible for you to be a yes man in this religion. It's upon you to learn the religion. It's not sufficient for you to go in front of Allah and say, I did such and such and such and such because my husband told me to do it. All right, you have to learn the religion for yourself and find out what you are and what you are not supposed to be doing. But we mentioned also says that وَحَرَّمَ أَشْيَاءَ, and Allah has made certain things in our deen haram, so do not indulge in them. Again, meaning what? Don't do it, and don't make excuses why a person can do it. All right? And it's better for a person, if you are struggling with a particular sin that is only between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wallahi, billahi, tallahi, wa uqsum billah, I swear by Allah, it is better for you to say, I know this is haram, but I'm struggling, and leave it like that, than for you to say, it's not haram, or for you to say, it's disliked. Smoking is haram. Drinking alcohol is haram. Playing the lotto is haram. Yeah, lotto. Oh, gambling is haram. All right? And all these different things. These things are haram. But if a person is struggling with it, it's better for him to say, listen, I know this is haram. May Allah forgive me. I'm trying. Than for you to say, if I hit the lotto, this is rizq, from Allah. Allah bless me, brother. What are you talking about? You gonna take yourself out of the what? Out of Islam like that. It's better for you just to be honest and say, listen, alhamdulillah, I'm struggling. May Allah aid me, and so on and so forth. Than for you to try to bend and tailor the deen to that which you like. Tayyib inshallah ta'ala, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam went on to mention, who can read the other half of the hadith? The last part?
He was silent out of compassion for you, not forgetfulness, so seek not after them.
And there are some things in our deen. The Prophet start off by speaking about that which is halal, and not set Allah setting certain limits in our deen. So do not transgress. Then after that, the Prophet went on to mention that Allah has made certain things in the deen haram. And then lastly, he ended وَسَقَطَ أَنْ أَشْيَاءَ رَحْمَةً لَكُمْ, and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala remained quiet about certain things as a mercy for you. Not out of forgetfulness, he didn't forget, but he did not speak about the ruling regarding that particular thing. What? As a mercy for you. فَلَا تَبْحَثُوا عَنْهَا, so don't go and start searching about these particular things. One of the interpretations here, وَسَقَطَ أَنْ أَشْيَاءَ رَحْمَةً لَكُمْ, is that these are particular things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not spoken about explicitly, that this is haram or this is haram. This is halal and this is haram. These are things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not actually mention, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has what? Left it open. There's a principle in regards to this. The principle is, for an example, when it comes to affairs of the dunya, we say that everything is permissible except that there's a text to prove that it's what? Haram. Alright? On a flip side to that, when it comes to worship, everything is what? Haram, unless you have a text to prove that it's what? That it's halal. Again, so what is the principle in regards to the dunya? The affairs of the dunya. Everything is what? Jihad. Everything's haram in the affairs of the dunya? Oh, brother, don't say anything, all right? Other way. And the affairs of the dunya.
Oh, yeah. My bad. Apologize.
So everything in the dunya is what? Halal. Unless you have a text to say what? That is haram. I'm going to give you an example. You'll find people, when it comes to do certain things that they want to do, they always have like a rebuttal for something. Alright? Playing the lotto is haram. Show me a hadith where it says playing the lotto is haram. Show me where Allah said lotto in the Quran. Alright? They always have what? A rebuttal to something. So in regards to these particular things, the affairs of the dunya, you may not have a text that explicitly talks about that particular thing. But Allah will allude to it in the Quran, from either in the Quran or the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. An example. Is there a text, and I'm going to say something, I'm trying to be funny, but is there a text to say that you cannot hit your parents? You can physically not hit your parents? Huh?
No.
There's not a text. So a brother says, if Adly say don't play PlayStation tonight, I'm going to hit him. Alright? You can't say it's not haram. It's not a hadith. There is no ayah. There's no nothing. So Adly, I'm playing PS4. And don't come in my room. Alright? And he says, yeah, what is it? What? You in trouble. Bring me the Quran, bring me the Sunnah. Alright? So it's funny, but to be honest with you, this is because you're not going to find a particular thing. And you can't use this hadith. Well, Allah didn't say that, so I can do what I want to do. It's even alluded to in the Quran. And this part that is alluded to is that sometimes, go to Isra, so to Isra 23. 17:23. Read it.
And your Lord has commanded that you shall not serve any but him in goodness to your parents. If either or both of them reach old age with you, say not to them so much as child.
1 second. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he mentions, if one of them or both of them reach old age, don't even say what? A word of like disrespect to them. If you can't do that, you can't do what? Alright? First of all, at my age, you're going to get hit back. Alright? But if you can't do that, then what? You obviously can't do that, which is what? A shadmin. That which is above it. So therefore, you may have these texts where Allah says that يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْخَمْرِ وَمَيْسَرِ. They ask you about alcohol and gambling. Then Allah says this is sin. What? وَمَنَافِعْ لِلنَّاسِ. Right? There's also a benefit to the people. But the sin does what? Outweighs the benefit that you get from it. So the whole point is that even though you may not have a text that explicitly says certain things are haram, that which also has the same results of something that's haram is what? Haram. That which also leads to the haram is what? Haram. And this is why in our deen we have these certain qawaid, we have these principles to clarify to us that which is what? Haram, and what we should understand from that. So therefore, not that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgot, so do not indulge in any particular thing. There's another verse in the Quran that I want everyone to think about, and we'll end with that, and we'll take questions inshallah. This particular verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in Surah Al-Ma'idah. The number escapes me right now. No, Ma'idah is 5, but the verse number escapes me. Well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he mentions, O you who believe, لا تسألوا أن أشياء إن تبدلكم تسؤكم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, O you who believe, do not ask about things that if the reality was made, if the truth was told to you, you would do what? Not transgress, you would do what? Be depressed? Yeah, alright, be depressed. You won't be pleased with the answer that you're going to get. This is a principle in our deen, and it's also a principle for life. Alright? So, one of the ways you're going to use in this deen, for an example, when Hajj first became an obligation, the Prophet ﷺ informed his companions that we have to make Hajj. And one particular companion, he said, every year, O Messenger of Allah, and the Prophet ﷺ became quiet. The companion, he kept asking and asking and asking and asking. And to the point the Prophet ﷺ, he became angry. And he said, if I said every year, it would have been what? It would have been a hardship. It would have been every year. So this point is, what? Take the understanding and what? Do what you're supposed to do. Don't go beyond that. O you who believe, لا تسألوا عن أشياء إن تبدلكم تسؤكم. O you who believe, if that was made, if it was shown to you, the truth of the matter was shown to you, what? You become what? Displeased. Alright? Now having said this, I remember as well, a funny story where when I was in Medina, my teachers, what we would do after the test, after he graded the test, we would go to him and we say, Sheikh, najat, I passed. And for one second, he'll look at me and say, Abdul Wahab, oh, you who believe, don't ask about things. If I told you, you're going to do what? You're going to be sad. So I knew, astaghfirullah, I felt. All right? So that was his response to everything. All right? And also, he used to tell us that the men, we should use this in our marriage as well. All right? Where her brother, he goes to his wife, you love me, right? Don't ask, brother. If it was told to you, what? You're going to be what? Upset with the answer. All right? And likewise. So, one, this is a principle for our deen, and it's a principle in general. All right? So, basically, again, if you can't handle the truth, don't ask for it. All right? This is also, but in all jokes aside, this was in regards to when revelation was actually being revealed to the Prophet ﷺ. And this order also came down to keep things from making it hard for the people. All right? And now one of the ways we apply this after the death of the Prophet ﷺ is that one of the Quran is forever. We take the same ruling. That listen, we don't ask about things, and kathratu sal'al, constantly asking, can lead to what? Destruction. Can lead to misguidance. It can lead to a lot of different things. As you have a hadith, we're not talking about questioning to try to learn the religion. You're just questioning just to be talking. And this is because one of the dangers of doing this is that you have a hadith. Some of us, we go on this field trip with shaitan. So shaitan comes to the individual and he says, who created this? Who created Abdurrahman? You don't mind if I keep calling your name, huh? Who created Abdurrahman? Everybody says Allah. Who created Allah. Who created this? Who created this? You go on this field trip with shaitan, and then the last question, who created Allah? Now you're stuck. So on and so forth. So therefore, to prevent all of this, sometimes this is why it's important for the people to know, if you're going to ask a question, let it be what? A beneficial one. All right, and it's actually ahkam, and a lot of people don't know that there's certain rulings that's in place for how to ask a question, when and why, and so on and so forth. Not to just ask. And also, what happens here, we find in Surah Al-Baqarah that the Jews, at one point, when a commandment came down for them to kill what? A cow. What cow? What color cow? The age. Male or female, it's all the same. Make it clear. This, that, and the third. They keep asking, that they're going to do what? Get out of it. So one of the things in regards to our deen, when we ask questions, has to be what? Something that's beneficial. And you're trying to learn, not just asking. For example, someone goes to, or I'll use myself as an example. I go to Sheikh Adly, and I want him to rule in my favor between me and my wife, for an example, or anybody else. So I ask him a question, and he gives me the answer. But the answer really is against me. I said, well, maybe Sheikh didn't hear me. But what about this, Sheikh?
Set up a question.
A loaded question. And he says the answer. Astaghfirullah, still against me. All right, what about this one? Astaghfirullah, still. Come on, Sheikh. What about this? And he asks probably 10 or 12 different questions, and he gets the answer that he wants. Then he goes back home and he says, You tell us, see, astaghfirullah. All right? He does this, but he doesn't admit to what? The 20 questions that he asked before that. But he got the answer that he wants. Because it's what? It's in his favor. And vice versa, the women do the same. So therefore, it's actually dangerous to keep asking when it's made clear. And it also is a proof to show that the person is what? Sincere. That once they ask a question of Allah, if it's vague, alhamdulillah, you keep asking. But if it's clear to you, do not try to keep asking to try to tailor the deen to your own desires. Alright? So we end with that, inshallah ta'ala. Is there any questions in regards to what we mentioned, or just questions in general? I think the sister had a hand up first.
About the ayat and stuff about men being the protectors and the women.
Tell you, generally speaking, as we know, you have a community obligation in general, but the first obligation, the first is ظاهر من الآية, which is apparent from the ayah, is that, yes, for example, the father takes care of the children. When she gets married, the husband takes care of his wife, and so on and so forth. If the father passes away, the child takes care of his parents, and so on and so forth. Now, if there's no one to provide or to take or the honor of that sister, things like that, then yes, the community has an obligation to help them out. Now, that doesn't mean that we're just going to pay everything, and so on and so forth. We have general to help out. We're going to direct you to where you need to be directed to, so on and so forth. In general. Now,
I know, we had talked about before about you can't wear red, like all red. We seen this brother, he had a pink thobe.
A pink thobe, mashallah.
So, and the brother was saying he read something saying that you can't wear pink. And he tried to give me a proof. I said, I don't want to hear about no stuff in the dunya or the hospital rap, the girls in pink. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear what Islam said. You know what I'm saying about, because he was saying you can't wear pink, and Islam said he read it. So we had to, talk about it. So I said I was going to try to find out, have you read anything?
Well, if you find it, show me. I never seen.
Not me, I said he said.
Well, anybody. I mean, Sheikh Adly, you can ask Sheikh Adly, but I don't know, just because I say I don't know doesn't mean that that's the answer.
Right, I understand.
All right? That's the first and foremost. But I don't know anything that prohibits someone from wearing pink. Now, you may have the shabur of nisa, of resembling women and so on and so forth. Then that's something totally different. But something that clearly prohibits a person from wearing pink or something like that, I don't know. But even with wearing red, if a person has different colors within that,
Right.
then it's okay. I remember a hadith for the Prophet had a red cloak, right? But within that cloak, it also had different colors as well. Now, Sheikh?
Who created Allah?
Huh?
Who created Allah?
No one. No one. I know I shouldn't have said that. But no one, alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Allah is the one who created. Huh?
He said, how did no one create it?
Please.
How did no one create it?
Did you
Alhamdulillah.
just create yourself?
No, alhamdulillah. So you have a hadith where the Prophet ﷺ, people actually came to the Prophet ﷺ, they asked the Prophet ﷺ, O Messenger of Allah, how did all of this happen? And he said, Can Allah. There was Allah and there was nothing before him. Right? And Allah's throne was on what? It was on water. Then he created the pen. فَقَالَ لَهُ أُكْتُبْ. And he said, right? And the pen wrote down everything from that point to the day of judgment. Inshallah. But before Allah, there was nothing before Allah. There would be nothing after Allah. Yeah. Inshallah. Any other questions? Please.
We talked about not asking questions that we know we're not going to like the answer if we get the right answer. Does the same go for giving reminders? If you know that somebody's not going to like the reminder or it's going to create a hardship for them, is it best to not give them the reminder?
No, not necessarily. No, because at the end of the day, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentions what? And remind, because the reminder does what? Benefit the believer. And no one wants to hear that they're wrong anyway, especially if they know that they're wrong. And like I said, generally speaking, we have a natural desire to do things that is what? Not in our favor. So, for an example, if I go to, or you come to me and I'm addicted to a particular sense, and you tell me, listen, I'm not going to advise him to do a hub because he's going to become sad, he's going to become this, that, and the third. No, I need the what? I need the reminder, whether I like it or not. But when we talk about don't ask questions because if it's shown to you or the reality is made to you, you wouldn't be disliked, you wouldn't like it. Again, it's talking about during the time of the Prophet that we keep them from asking certain questions that will make things hard for what? For the ummah. No. But as far as giving general reminders, whether the person likes it or not, that's you need to hear it. And that's even why we have the khutbah on Jum'ah, where sometimes where the imam may get up and he's hitting certain points, and you feel like, astaghfirullah, he talking about me in the khutbah. Alright? But no, it's due to what? You're killed in certain things that you're doing. Right? But we need to hear it. We need to hear it now, inshallah. Huh?
I said you should work on the delivery though, right?
Well, how so?
Like when you remind somebody, you remind them repeatedly.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously a difference between, reminding someone for the sake of Allah and just being harsh and things like that. But someone who wants to do what they want to do, they're going to view everybody as being harsh. Yeah, so you want to be mindful of that, inshallah ta'ala. طيب إن شاء الله we'll end with that. سبحانك وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. آمين وإياك. السلام.